see, I need to get to this guy. Hatchet-wielding man in a road rage attack going on, as you see, and he finishes the job there. These things, man, we're just getting to be a crazy freaking society here anymore. On top of that, police shooting happening on the northbound 71 freeway in Chino Hills. Let's see what ABC7 has to say about it.
Following breaking news in Chino Hills, where there's been a police shooting on the 71 freeway in Chino Hills again. Let's go live to Air 7 and Chris Christie for the details. Chris?
Colleen, northbound lanes of the 71 freeway completely shut down here in Chino Hills, right at Butterfield Ranch Road. And take a look, this crime scene contains a massive command post there and a major investigation underway. Yellow tape across the freeway here. Traffic backing up in both directions, but that northbound traffic is extensive.
If that's a police shooting going on, that's going to last quite a while, I believe.
Tonight. What happened to Sherry Papini?
The kidnapping.
7 never shuts off their videos. You hit off and it never stays off. Dude thought he was going to get some. Get shot and robbed of 20 grand thinking he was going on a date. I bet you I wonder what he was promised. Here's the Fox 11 report.
4 people involved in a robbery on April 28th. A man was tricked through a dating app into meeting at a quiet spot on South Occidental Boulevard in the Westlake neighborhood. The suspects used a gun to rob him, made him unlock his phone, and stole his car, which was later found burned. They also used his information to make 20 grand in fake transactions. The LAPD is asking anyone who knows anything.
Plus, he lost his car. Holy bleeping cow on this stuff. How unlucky. Well, how stupid, maybe, can you be on that? Medi-Cal, Medicaid is on the chopping block. Gavin Newsom's crying about it. You know, that was supposed to be for 2% of the population. Now it's up to 34%. And climbing to 40%, including people in the country unlawfully and illegally. It's how every government program, 98.7% of them, no matter how well-intentioned, wind up in graft and corruption.
And the nonprofit hospitals that serve the poor say the consequences could be devastating. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell explains.
This couple of weeks I'm basic. My throat hurt me a lot.
Salvador Rodriguez of South Los Angeles has 3 children and works as a landscaper. He's had to miss work because of a thyroid issue. When he doesn't work, he does.
Notice the emotional plea that goes on with all this stuff. Again, this program, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, was only supposed to be for 2%. Those who were in the most dire need of circumstances, couldn't afford medical care, were going to get it. Now it's up to close to 40% of everybody. And you wonder why you got to wait 16 years to get a simple procedure done at a hospital today. It's absolutely mind-numbing what's going on. San Bernardino cops caught this guy again. They're getting on the repeat offenders, which is absolutely fabuloso. Here we go. As we see.
High-speed chase, recklessly endangering the safety of everyone throughout our city streets. The officer, who recognized the suspect from his previous murder arrest, immediately understood the level of threat involved. The chase intensifies when the suspect high-centers his vehicle onto a large dirt berm and bails out on foot. As he ran, the suspect repeatedly reached towards his waistband, a clear and dangerous indicator that he could be armed. But this wasn't any suspect. Back in 2019, this individual committed a cold-blooded assassin-style murder. Despite the severity of that crime, because of his age at the time, the consequences of changes in California law, including policies favoring early release, he was no longer in custody. Now,
you committing dangerous murder out there, running around, evading the cops. It's a wonder they didn't. I don't know how these cops show enough restraint to not shoot these clowns. And again, kudos to the San Bernardino cops for setting it out there and saying, hey, this is BS. This has been Newsom's and the California legislatures and the canine-hating Corey Jacksons, Eloise Reyes, Rivas, Isaac Bryan, and all them kooks up there that we have elected. A lot of them from Cervantes sisters and the whole kooky crew. You have caused this kind of crap. You have made our neighborhoods unsafe. Thank goodness the San Bernardino cops are calling it out.
Now he's back on the streets, armed, dangerous, and once again evading law enforcement. Throughout this entire pursuit, the officer remains calm, focused, and in complete control. He demonstrated exceptional tactical awareness, watching the suspect's hands, body language, surroundings, and preparing for any sudden escalation. His training is on full display. Ultimately, the suspect realized he couldn't get away and surrendered. The officer took him into custody without the use of force. This incident stands as a powerful testament to the professionalism, restraint, and preparedness of our officers. The situation could have led to a lethal force encounter. However, it wasn't needed because our officers' training, judgment, and discipline prevented it. While this case highlights the challenges we face as repeat offenders are released back into our communities, it also showcases the commitment our officers bring to every encounter.
I will agree with that. The dude showed restraint. But the overall point, brutal murderer. In 2019, he's already out in the streets. We're tolerating this stuff. It's absolutely frickin' maddening. It's from Tucker Carlson and the racist Lori Lightfoot, former Chicago mayor.
Talking to white people. I don't like them. I'm not talking to them. I'm not answering any questions from white reporters.
We can follow up on the decision to grant black and brown journalists the one-on-ones on your 2-year anniversary. Are you implying that white reporters cannot do a fair job of covering you?
What it has to do about is the facts. And the facts is that when I look out it across this podium, as I'm doing now, I don't see much in the way of diversity.
And no one did anything about it. That's the environment that produced.
Yes, that's the environment that produces crap like you just saw. Murderers out on the street. Nobody does anything wrong. Especially if you got a darker skin tone than somebody else. That is the ultimate in racism. We're going to call out the racists and the stupids every flippin' day. Man, oh man. It will drive any sane person crazy. Ashley Zavala with a report on Newsom's car ban going down the drain. Here we go.
California for decades has had the power to set its own emission standards, all in the name of clean air. Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta are prepared to argue that lawmakers in Washington, D.C. and the president are illegally trampling on that authority.
Well, they might argue it, but practically every lawyer, legal expert I've talked to said they're going to go down in flames. We'll have more on this later on. Carl DeMaio says illegal immigrants are going to be able to count ballots in California. This is just past the assembly, I believe. Here we go.
Assemblymember DeMaio, you were recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to AB 930. It does not modernize the way people vote. It adds the ability for non-citizens to serve as recount board members.
Can we get any more insane in California? We're going to let illegal aliens count ballots. Why do we even bother? The great Donald J. Trump bringing back nuclear power as Obama promised to do in 2008 and failed as the 44th president to give you clean, reliable, 24-hour 365 power, nuclear power. Donald J. just signed the executive order to make it happen. And Barack Obama had 8 years and ran when he knew what the right policy was, and ran like the scalded little dog, little boy, no balls president, racist he was. You.
Next executive order is intended to reform the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. You heard a few of the people here speak about the complex regulatory processes that.
And Trump is going to dismantle it. Again, we'll have more on that later on in the show. Gonna have a demo derby in Victorville Saturday. On top of that, we'll get into the Gage Canal. You don't realize how powerful water is, and a lot more stuff on today's Faster Than You Friday on Memorial Day Indy 500 weekend. Funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5. Evil Hippie Network, Rumble, I don't know about X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Rocking and rolling out there. Illegal immigrants are going to be able to count ballots in California. People in this country illegally and unlawfully. Why don't we just farm it out to China? Sheer stupidity of what's going on. We're going to have a Sabrina Cervantes DUI arrested. Guess she was jealous of her sister, who's got 2 convictions or pled guilty, however you want to say it, on DUI. Some of the report that she's trying to put out has raised some suspicions, to say the least. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of that. All the other insane, ridiculous, out of control. Some of the stuff that we allow or do is just incredible. Incredible that we are trying to flush our society down the crapper. Severely, no less. It, on its face, we could possibly, maybe, Monday, Memorial Day, where we celebrate those, the 1.5 million or somewhere close to that, 1.5 million men and women have fought, bled, and died so we could have the greatest country in the history of the world, so we could have the freedoms we enjoy now. Far too often, I think we take this for granted. You know, Memorial Day is not, Veterans Day is about everyone that served in the military, in the Coast Guard. Memorial Day is specifically to remember those who died in the battle defending this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So we don't want to lose sight of the fact that it's up to us. It's up to us to carry on that tradition. We'll be 250 years old here in a bit. I believe is it next 4th of July? Yeah, I believe it's next 4th of July. We'll celebrate the 250th 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And those guys knew they were either going to win it or they were going to, or King George of England was going to hang them. And again, we've had 1.5 million so far. Lay down their lives for us to have the opportunity we've got. Let's not flush it down the freaking toilet like in too many times we have seen it. You know, we can't, the government has never been able to successfully or even come close to successfully running everyone's lives. They're not the healthcare provider. They're not the food provider. They're not the housing provider. They're not that. We ask a few things. You know, defense of our country from the federal government. That's our main job. Keeping our freedoms and the Constitution and the provisions in it, keeping us from a tyrannical government takeover. The states are there to provide, in our case now, 50 incubators of how you want to do it. We just had the Trump rescinding the electric car ban. And that was yesterday. Today, as you saw, he signed in the order to start building nuclear reactors so we can have the cheapest, cleanest, most reliable source of electricity that has been known to man, and that is nuclear power. Cutting through the rules and regulations, increasing, speeding up, get it done. We want to see those, we want to see nuclear power plants, well, really, from San Diego to Seattle, Washington, from Miami, Florida, up to Bear, Vermont. We want them across Texas and Louisiana, up along the Mississippi River, everywhere we got lakes, anywhere. Put small ones in where the lakes are at, like Lake Paris. Damagoni, you probably put 2 or 3 down there. That's a humongous lake. The common sense of Trump, or anybody can see this. Hopefully we're done with Tutti Frutti. Whether it's the trannies with their stupid rainbow flags, and you're going to do, you know, we're going to have boys beating up on girls, and the whole rigmarole. The degradation of society, the walling off of our schools. So I gotta love the San Bernardino cops there. They're running a video telling you, hey, look at this jackass, Newsom, letting them out of prison, commuting their sentences. 2019, brutal murder, already out on the streets. You know, the Purdue cops cruising by and say, oh, I know that clown. What the hell is he doing out? It's only 5 or 6 years. How the hell did he get out? He probably thought he escaped from prison or something. Probably looking on the computer going, holy crap, they couldn't have let him out. Well, yes, they did. Are we going to tolerate this stupidity? Are we going to charge $165,000 per prisoner? You know, that's double what it was just 5 years ago, which was the highest in the nation. And now we've doubled that. We emptied the prisons, cut them in half. What? 165,000 10 years ago. Now we're down to below 100,000, close to half. We're spending more on the prison budget in the state of California than we did when we had 60, 70% more prisoners in there. Can you say stupid? Then we have to hire more cops, which means your roads ain't going to get fixed, or your kid's school is going to be, they're not going to have pens and pencils, or they're going to hire doofus teachers. It's beyond bizarre. But again, we've created this idiotic environment. How we could not. I got to run this again. The great Donald J. Trump signing the executive order to build nuclear reactors so we can have nuclear power plants. So maybe if in the future they do just use something stupid like all electric cars, there's no way. I've said this, the only way electric cars, or we'll get to electric water heaters or appliances, y'all electric society works is if we have one of the biggest mass nuclear power generator construction programs in the history of the world.
To reform the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, you heard a few of the people here speak about the complex regulatory processes that have really held the nuclear industry back. Before 1978, there were 133 reactors built in the United States. Since 1978, only 2 new commercial reactors have come online. That's because of overregulation, and the goal of this executive order is bringing that regulatory process into line with the actual needs of the industry and public safety, with an end goal of quadrupling the amount of nuclear power production in the next 2.5 decades.
It's fantastic. It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
This next executive order relates to nuclear reactor testing, sir. The degree of overregulation and governmental inaction in this space in particular has had the effect of throttling development of new, highly modernized nuclear reactors that could really revolutionize the field of nuclear power generation. So this executive order, it orders a revised regulatory process to speed this whole process while preserving, obviously, core safety concerns. It also creates a new pilot program with an expectation that we will have 3 new experimental reactors online by July 4th next year.
3 new experimental nuclear reactors online in a little over a year. The Biden administration, along with the Obama administration, suppressed the research to do that. But we had plenty of money to do gain-of-function research in China to unleash the China virus, and who God knows what else has they've been doing. It hasn't been a lack of will, and like I said, the racist Barack Obama campaigned in 2008 for president and said when he was going to be president, we're going to start building nuclear power plants because he said that's the way to go. Was too scared. The little girl that he is, he wouldn't do it. Because the Tutti Fruttis might go boo at him. And he'd have to hide under the desk till Big Mike had to come and rescue him. Some sanity's returning. I don't know if we can take this much sanity this quickly, but I'm willing to find out. This may be This right here may be the greatest news, potentially, of all the things Trump has done to this point in Trump 2.0. What are we up to? About 120 days, 4 months. This may go down in history as the shining #1 achievement. Not saying because you don't know what's going to come up in the next 3.5 or so years. Even if he puts an end to the Ukraine war and we get out of this stupid trade deals with China, and we tell California, you know what? No illegals, no one illegally or unlawfully in the country is going to count ballots, at least count federal ballots. So you can hire all you want, and they probably can hire them to count state or local ballots if they so desire. The federal government has control of federal elections. And that's another thing that needs to come up is, along with the paper ballot thing, is only people over 18 years of age and registered voters, maybe even pass a background check, can count ballots. I mean, that's another thing. If Trump can reform the election systems, get nuclear power back on track, drill, baby, drill, that will do so much to unleash the economic power of the United States and the economic power and creativity of the United States citizen. You will see a renaissance going across that's never been seen in world history. Because energy, it starts with energy. If you don't have energy, your life gets very small. You get back to no energy, you get back to the Neanderthal days when you spent 2 weeks whittling out a club so you go out and get some food. Like I say, this one is huge. Of all the things that he's done so far, and there have been a lot, this one impresses me the most. That we're finally going to get back on track after 40 or 50 years of developing nuclear power generated electricity. Just to dovetail into that, we ran a little bit on it. Carl DeMaio, it's AB 930, the Ward bill. Oh, we're going to hire illegal aliens to count ballots in California.
Adds the ability for non-citizens to serve as recount board members. I'm not sure why a non-citizen should have any business serving on a board overseeing a U.S. election. That's not how people vote in America. I don't know where you hang out, but it's not where people vote, how most people vote that I talk to on both sides of the aisle.
Mr. DeMaio, just a moment. Mr. Berman, state your point of order, please.
So what's
I asked my colleague from San Diego not to hurl insults at fellow assembly members on the...
Oh, shut the frick up, you whiny little piece of crap, you. And I ask you, don't say disparaging. What disparaging word did he say? He's pointing out the frickin' truth, you a-hole. He's not yelling or screaming, he's stating the facts. This is why we got to get rid of the supermajority up there. Somebody should tell this clown to shove it up his ass.
Assembly floor.
Excuse me, Mr. DeMaio. Mr. Berman, your point is well taken. Mr. DeMaio, please use decorum.
I think most Californians would wonder how it can be a modern election if non-citizens are serving on an election board overseeing the election. That's not an insult. That's common sense.
Correct. That is not an insult. Why don't we just hire Ping Pong and this Chinese Communist Party to come over and run our frickin' elections, which are probably halfway doing anyway with the stupid machines. Which I'm not sure is the biggest deal we've got in the election fraud, but it's a part of it.
I think it would be insulting to suggest that Californians wouldn't have grave concerns about that. And perhaps that's why we see so many election-related measures passed by this body that are unhinged from popular points of view in this state. But secondly, this bill also extends the amount of time for ballots to be returned in an election. We already are the laughing stock of the world when it comes to counting ballots.
So what, we're going to go more than 30 days? What, are we just going to keep the election open till we get the results we want? That bond that barely passed in March of 24, where they had to hold Alameda and Los Angeles counties right to the end because they were in danger of losing it. Oh, they squeaked just enough votes to get it in. At this point, if they're going to pass this, why don't we just suspend elections in California? Just have Gavin Newsom or whomever just appoint everybody to our city councils, school boards, water board, sewer cleaning commissioner, cockroach inspector board, or whatever.
Most third world countries have something called an election day, not an election month. We're actually on track to having an election quarter here in California because our elections actually start 30 days prior to election day through mail-in ballots. So a month out, people can vote. And then, of course, they are able to count ballots for 30 days after an election. That's a 60-day period. What this bill would do is it would allow ballots to be returned up to 7 days after election day. That only sows the seeds of doubt. It undermines public trust and confidence in our democracy when ballots mysteriously appear after election day. So I urge this body, let's put the health of our democracy first. Let's do everything we can to restore public trust.
We got to get back to piss on this whole thing. If the ballots aren't in by Tuesday, November 5th, or first Tuesday of every month, or first Tuesday of the month on election day, at 8 o'clock, that's it. No more ballots. You didn't get it in on time. You didn't get the mail. Too effing bad. You didn't get to the polls. You know, even if you say it's postmarked on that day, well, it could be postmarked after 8 p.m. You know, we close the ballots at 8 p.m., not 12:01. So it's possible to get on the first Tuesday of the month on election day, it's possible to get 11:59 p.m. postmark on that and count while everybody else's ballot has been closed out. The polls are shut down. None of this extension, none of this postmark. 8 o'clock, that's it. The boxes are closed, the drop-off boxes, the remote machines are turned off. Whatever comes into that day on ballots goes in file 13, which means the trash, the round file, however you want to say it. This stuff gets stupider and stupider and stupider every day. It's beyond beyond mind-boggling. I want to get to finish up on some of the Rasmussen reports. We did some of it yesterday from Mark Mitchell on the enormous shift, especially between black men, Hispanic men at the biggest, but most everybody, as they say, persons of color, which is stupid. Most every category except whites have moved significantly right, center right, freedom and liberty types in the last 12 years. Consistently, no matter who's been elected president, in your state houses, whatever, whites have been moving center left because of the white shaming and all that. And you're a racist. The war against the straight white male, every evil in the world has been at it. Here's a dude doing interviews in the street. Interesting stuff here that Mitchell posted. Here we go.
They hate us everywhere. The president changed.
It's like mush brain logic. Oh, this one says the president changed.
You know, but does that make it? I don't.
But it's not right. It hurts my feelings.
I'm just action for it. Change. The president changed. See that as a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't see it in black and white terms.
That's cognitive.
So I didn't want to set it up. I want you to hear it. He asked, well, what do you think changed between 2024 and 2025? What changed? Why did illegal immigration, they were pouring across the border at unprecedented numbers to almost a dead stop immediately? What do you think changed? Like Mitchell's pointing out, yeah, the ones, the whiteys, the chicks, the suburban white chicks, college educated. Oh, no, why can't you answer the frickin' question? It's because Joe Biden was president and was waving them in because he's owned by the Chinese drug cartels and Mexican drug cartels and the establishment and everything else that he sold out to China, everybody. And Trump hasn't. That's why. Easy. We switched presidents. We got somebody with more than 2 cents in his head.
Dissonance.
You guys think that this is then, with that answer, is this a bad thing compared to this?
I think for years we've allowed people into our country, and I believe there needs to be some, method of vetting when they're coming back and forth. But when people...
There is! Congress passed a law, 1 million can come in. You complete yo-yo. You have these dingy broads have no frickin' idea of what the Congress of the United States, who read the frickin' Constitution, lady, has plenary power, which means absolute. They could say nobody comes in. They could take the wall. They could take customs out of the airport. Say anybody will just walk in however you want. Pull the Coast Guard off the seas. To not taking Trump's wall and building it 90,000 feet high, lady. Oh, emotional, and we need to, and shut up, is my advice to you. So when you open your mouth, you let the whole world know without a shadow of a doubt what an idiot you are. And you don't even know what you're talking about. She probably got a doctorate in transgender, paint your toenails blue and purple and pink, put spikes in your head.
Are being persecuted in other countries and then come over here thinking that they're going to have freedom, and we're like, get out, get back, we're not going to let you in.
It's the emotion and the empathy. That's what she's coming back to here. She's been conditioned to believe that we need to take everybody.
Yeah, and I don't agree with it.
The majority of these are economic asylees. Are you in favor of deporting those people then?
No.
When it comes to
Yeah, look at how dumb they are. This is what when they're probably bowing down to The View and Mad Cow and Jake Tapper and Muir on the Alphabet One or the Peacock, whatever, Nora O'Donnell or whoever stupid's on there. The concert barrage, they bought into the war against a straight white male. Everybody white is evil. You got white guilt. Everything is your fault. You need to pay reparations. They're too stupid. They're intellectually incapable of seeing the reality of the situation, that they're getting propagandized, brainwashed, and they're succumbing to their fears. No, somebody might call me a racist or might call me a name, and I just can't handle that. Then go back in and have some coffee and tea or cookies and teas or whatever, like Tammy Wynette, like the witch said, and shut the hell up.
It's the thing. It doesn't affect her. Affluent white liberal woman. Her husband probably brings home the bacon. He probably works for YouTube or something. Makes $1 million a year. Got the vaccine so he didn't lose his job. And she doesn't care. She doesn't care about her kids and the world they're going to grow up in and what happens when you bring 20 million people unvetted. They're struggling.
do people enter the country illegally? Should they be punished for that or no?
No.
What do you think?
I think we need to provide more services for asylum seekers.
Yes.
Shut the frick up. Now we go from stupid to absolutely insane. This is a total psycho chick. Well, we need to help us.
To provide more. What we're doing now is not enough.
Sure.
Well, what changed? Trump is back, and he closed the border. And when Biden was here, it was an open border. We all know that.
President Trump.
Somebody with some sanity. There's 5 minutes or 10 minutes of this other crap, and my head would absolutely explode if I played it all. There's some sanity.
T-Dog.
Yeah.
Yep, T-Dog.
Sure. Yeah.
T-Man, T-Money.
Trump, dude. Finally, we get someone with some huevos in there.
President.
There you go. That young lady hit it right there. That's why the Gen Zers and the younger generation and the blacks and the Hispanics are flocking to Trump because he's got balls. And that young lady said it. That was the creme de la creme. That young lady had it. I mean, holy bleeping freaking cow. From this.
Order made it happen. And better enforcement.
Better enforcement?
Yeah. See, it's like you ask a Democrat, you get emotion, cognitive dissonance, mistrust, anger, evasion. It's not higher order thinking. It's something animal almost. And I hate to say that. They're not all the same. Trump picked up more Democrat voters than Republicans in a long time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but were all the bad answers coming from white people? I'm pretty sure. Might have been an Asian in there. I don't know. I mean, this is...
No, Mitchell's exactly right. This brainwashing that's been going on for 50, 60 years, and the shaming and the criticism and the stomping down of what they call white people, that's a culmination of they're all scared of this. The others are seeing it for it is. The younger generation who's been screwed by this, the minorities or darker, whatever, people of color. Who isn't of color? They come up with all these euphemisms. Why can't they say, no, they can't identify people as male and female, which, that's the two species of the human frickin' race. Rest of it means nothing unless you're a racist. Holy bleeping bejesus cow on this stuff. It's absolutely incredible. It's beyond hideous at times. Hit a couple of the local genre as we roll through. Burn rubber in Moville, and you wind up being arrested. As you see, so try and roll through the deal. There's a dude, he's out there doing the donut, all that stuff. They handed him out a 30-day tow, and the driver was arrested for reckless driving. Now, there's a badass rat rod with a diesel motor, 1.5-ton chassis. Looks like a 40s Ford model. That's a real, honest-to-goodness, badass rat rod. From Rat Rod magazine. Paris cops had a very unusual detainee that they rolled in with out there serving a search warrant. Swim season opens Saturday in Yucaipa and Glen Helen and just about everywhere else in the world. So summer's coming, although we got a reprieve from the heat that we had in the middle of the week. Lots of places will be open on Memorial Day so you can cool off with a good swim on that. The Temecula cops got a big delivery of lots of nice food and stuff, so good job to all those who donated to the Temecula cops. Looking for something to do this weekend? Chili cook-off in River City. They're Van Buren and Jackson. So Nathan Lockwood was fatally injured at 2/12/25 Tuesday on MLK Boulevard near the transition ramps in there. He hit the bridge abutments on that, so that's not good. One convicted of killing two outside a Moreno Valley restaurant. That's the El Rodeo, which is not too far from the old studios over here. Redlands cops had to deal with stolen U-Hauls, people pointing guns at each other, and a whole host of other things going on. So, know why this thing never can get rid of those notifications. Traffic flowing again on the northbound 15 freeway in Temecula, so that's good news for that. Chino Police remembers some familiar faces at their department, the police service officers. So good job there, Chino Police Service officers. Free event with music at Heritage Park and Hemet. So they're going to have picnics on Memorial Day.
Got 1 minute, Roy.
Got it. Canvas on the curb there in Corona. So we've got some more. What else is on that? Martin Luther King increases security on campus. Well, maybe we'll get into that. Galaxy Downs in Temecula is a busy equestrian center. Started in '68, still going strong. There's the Hemet cops fighting retail theft on that. What else we got on the local genre?
30 seconds.
Through the 210 freeway in Arcadia. Happy hour at the Salute to India Paris Auto Speedway. You get there to 5 for $6. Budweiser beers are 2 for the price of 1. Pepsis are also discounted too, so get there early. And you'll have some even more fun.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
For those who support America, PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky side guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, I know about X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check us out, subscribe. We're going to try to get illegal aliens to count ballots in California. AB 930. Some clown named Ward. What? Why don't we just call up ping pong over in China and say, well, how do you want the election results to go? Absolutely mind numbing. Cop shooting on the 71 there on Chino Hills is probably still blocked out. That was an hour ago or so. That'll probably be a cop shooting on the freeway. That freeway will probably be shut down for a long time. So look for some alternate routes in that area. We'll get you an update on Sabrina Cervantes, the state senator out here in Riverside, Corona, Moval, Hemet, Paris, and a few other spots on her DUI arrest. On that, some interesting of the release she made and why or why not she did it. It's one of the Donald J. Trump, and like I said, this could possibly be the biggest deal he will do in Trump 2.0. Now, of course, we've got 3.5 plus more years to go. He signed 2 executive orders today. One, dropping the stupid regulations on nuclear reactors so we can start building the cheapest, cleanest, 24/7, 365 electric power generation known to the history of the world called nuclear power. He also speeded up the research on new nuclear reactors, and the projection is by July 4th, 2026, which is just a little over a year away, we will have 3 brand new state-of-the-art nuclear reactors that will produce more power than anybody ever thought possible. That it's, again, it's like beyond the pale of the amount of stupidity that we had for the last 4 years and how quickly it unwound, like we did, and we'll get back to the Mark Mitchell tape from Rasmussen Reports. But he had a man on the street guy out there ask a question, well, what's the difference between the border being wide open for 4 years and it getting completely shut down in less than a month? And just to prove, like the stats Mitchell had, most of the white people have moved center left off the deep end. Look at California. Most everyone else has went center right big time in the last 12 years. Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, Gen Zers, young people. It's the old white liberals, the college-educated, so-called intellectuals, that have been the ones that have been giving us the assault like you've seen in good old California, which hopefully is coming to an end soon. More from the Mitchell reports. Here we go.
Diversity, not diversity, art from diversity as well. And, they're looking with jealousy at the Joe Rogans of the world, and it's not going to work for them. This is a really great article not a great article, but it's a stunning article that the New York Times ran, Democrats throw money at a problem, countering the GOP clout online. At private gatherings, strategists and donors are swapping ideas to help the party capture the digital mojo that helped President Trump win. And yes, there's a price tag. 6 months after the Democrat Party's crushing 2024 defeat, the party's mega donors are being inundated with overtures to spend tens of millions of dollars to develop an army of left-leaning online influencers.
They've had that. It didn't work. They're going to try and double down on it. I say go for it. You've lost all the constituency. And you know what? The white college-educated liberal is dying out anyway in the United States. So please, go chase them some more. They are just in a total disarray over there. And I'm loving every minute of it. There's more from Mitchell.
Man, it's a good post about masculine energy. Try and find it.
Oh, he'll find it here in a second. But
yeah, here it is.
There, he's got it.
All right, you tell me if it was worth it. Today, Trump showed a video to the South African president about the white genocide. Confrontation like this would have been unimaginable even a few years ago. This is the energy shift. The new right expects people to be confrontational and direct in person, and this energy is felt downstream via demand by the base, especially Zoomers. And
especially Zoomers. Let's go back to the first part where the young lady Zoomer probably looked like she was about 25 or 30 and was asking the question on the border and what changed. And she said, Trump has huevos. That's what they don't get. That's what they do. Just like Trump did with the South African guy saying, what about this in your racist country and policies over there in South Africa, dude? No other president, like the young lady said, that we've ever seen had the huevos to sit somebody in the Oval Office and then run the tape. Said, oh, let me show you the tape. And he's sitting there going, I'm at home. And that's why all these other entities that the Democratic Party had a lock on are saying, screw this, we're not doing stupid anymore.
Flowing also from the highest levels of the Trump administration, including POTUS himself, and Hegseth and Rubio, for sure. Maybe not Don Gino and Kash Patel. They got to fix that. But this is what I'm talking about. You're $10 million influencer who's going to be some super effeminate person. You're not going to be able to capture the attention of people who are watching the energy shift.
They didn't learn a damn thing about the Bud Light commercial. And that dude that was trying to portray he was a chick damn near killed the whole Bud Light thing. And Mark Mitchell's exactly right. What they're going to do, come out, they're going to double down on the feminine crap. Look, the Zoomer told you. The reason is Trump has huevos. No screwing around. That's why we're following Trump. Because we don't want some scared little boy or girl, or we don't know what the hell they are, trying to shove stupid down our throat.
Coming out of the Trump administration. And quite frankly, if you're looking at, again, those blue lines on the chart, those people that were the soft, squishy targets of the psychological operation, those are not the same kind of people that are affected by this energy shift. Super passive aggressive kind of people. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a complete takeover. And again, Joe Biden did all of this. JD confronted Zelensky in the...
He goes on about, just like when JD Vance jumped in Zelensky shorts said, hey, don't come in here, and then Trump said, hey, don't come in here telling us what the hell to do. That's why they're losing it. It's absolutely incredible. This goes, now we're getting guys like Rich Barris from Big Data Poll, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen Reports. Like he said, we're actually going deeper and asking the questions, not, do you like Trump or not? Is Trump a race? Did Trump put out a mean tweet today, and how did that make you feel? No, we're actually getting hard data over decades of how the Democratic Party, the center left, the kooks, we're running a mind op on us. And again, the only ones that were buying it were mainly suburban educated, college educated women and men. Why do you think they keep telling your kids to go to college now? It's not because they want them to get a good education and have a good opportunity at a great job and raise a family and do all of the things that most people used to strive to do. No, they're putting all that crap in their head. They're getting them $100,000 in debt when they walk out, so they got them buy the Huevos when they come out. On top of that, they didn't learn anything in college, so they have no skills other than told, oh, vote for Kamala Harris, vote for Gavin Newsom, vote for canine-hating Corey Jackson, vote for Eloise Reyes, and so on. Update. Since I pulled the Sabrina Cervantes story up, I started coughing. I don't know, is it a coincidence? Sabrina Inland State Senator Sabrina Cervantes shares lab results she said prove she's innocent of DUI. Riverside Democrat says records show no drugs, alcohol after Sacramento crash. One doctor is skeptical. So go on reading as I read the Press Enterprise article, and I've had many experts look at this. Doctors commented in the article, some I've talked to. They're calling this BS. First, she's saying I didn't have alcohol in my system. Well, the test results she is supposedly releasing are 24 hours after the incident. You don't have to be probably a medical doctor, although they will back this up, I'm sure, but check it out if you want. You can be S-faced, passed out most people within 8 hours. You could be 0.2 over 0.16 like her sister, Clarissa Cervantes, on her first guilty plea to DUI was, which means basically that's 0.08 is where you're first under the influence. Then if you're over 0.15, that's a tier up because, again, you're basically, most people cannot even hardly walk or can hardly do anything if they're at 0.15 or you can be that at that rate. 8 hours later, you can take in there. If you haven't drank any alcohol, it'll be totally out of your system. So to produce if this is the case and the Press Enterprise reporting is accurate, to produce a report that was a alcohol test 24 hours after the fact means nothing. And certain drugs, like if you're doing weed or the THC, and certain drugs will show up in your system 24 hours, or some won't. Some are like alcohol. They'll flush through your system fast. So again, why release some that said 24 hours after the incident you had no alcohol in your system? Well, that just means you hadn't been drinking most likely 8 to 10 hours before that test, which was long after the traffic accident, which appears from the deal was not her fault. It appears, or from the evidence of release, or some people are looking at it, or it appears somebody ran a red light, ran into her. She wasn't like she caused the accident, or that's what the evidence suggests so far. So we're not debating that point. But the cops cited her on a misdemeanor DUI charge. And again, driving under the influence can mean isn't exclusive to alcohol. It can be any substance which would impair you from safely operating a motor vehicle. That could be weed, that could be drug, that could be prescription drugs, that could be over-the-counter drugs. Some stuff that you buy in the drugstore says don't drive within X amount of hours after you use this, or you get prescription drugs, it'll say the same thing, or don't drive at all if you're using this, or you can drive, no problem. But driving under the influence is not exclusive to alcohol. That can mean anything that's impairing your ability to safely drive and operate a motor vehicle in the state of California. So we'll stay up on this story as it develops. And hey, maybe the lab test, maybe the test that was 8 hours, I believe. It was a while before the cops did it, but I'm sure it's not 24 hours. But to go and crow, well, I didn't have any alcohol in my system. We don't know. A test taken 24 hours does not conclusively prove that you did not have alcohol in your system. Talked to Jason Hunter a little bit. Apparently, they've been trying to block him from the Gage Canal water company, which is over, if you're not familiar, it's over in the Riverside, over in the Greenbelt area, down Victoria, where all that is. Kind of was a deal that was put together to serve water, get rid of water for the farmers in that area. Jason Hunter's got a big deal going on. They wouldn't let him in the meetings. Apparently, according to him, City of Riverside owns 60% of it. I think Hunter's got a good point that it is not a private company, it is a public-owned company subject to all Brown Act, anything over. They were preventing him from others from transferring shares to him, according to the report in the River Spring Cross Gazette and my conversations with Jason. So hopefully next week we'll have him on the air to further explain this little deal. I think he's going to have, they're trying to get a restraining order on him at the Gage Canal Company. I believe that's, and I'll have confirmation next week. I believe sometime next week at the Corona Court, the temporary restraining order to keep him out of the Gage Canal meetings. Well, I want to know how they're going to do that, because they say he's a threat. Well, where's the proof of that? On top of that, that whole thing needs to be looked at, because if the City of Riverside owns 60% of the shares of the Gage Canal Company, tell me how it is not a public agency. I don't care if it started out as a private agency. You know, if EMWD, when they took over all the little water companies except Box Springs, they became public or under the umbrella of EMWD and that whole, and we have a board and election. Dave Slauson's our rep out here. So I don't know. I don't know where all this stuff goes, but we'll follow that. Hopefully we'll follow up on that breaking story. On that, Man, it's been a wild week. Although it is calmed down a little bit, at least Trump isn't having 4 or 5 public appearances a day. It's usually down to 1, maybe 2, but mostly 1. The first 100 days was wild. This is almost every day. There was only a few Sundays and maybe a couple Saturdays he didn't make at least 1 public appearance, and I mean every day, Monday through Friday, which I think he's maintained since he's been sworn in as president on January 20th, noon, in the District of Criminals. But nothing but good, at least as I've seen it, has been coming out of the Trump administration. Like I said, today, deregulating nuclear reactors so we can have the cleanest, cheapest power that's ever been known to man. Got some more updates I'm sure we'll have on the King High School thing. You know, more people just got to step up on this stuff. Like the Purdue cops did. That video they put out of the heinous murderer convicted in 2019. The cops running down the road, sees him out. Dude runs. Heinous murderer. Out in what, 5 or 6 years? I don't know how the cop didn't shoot him. Like they said, he did show extreme restraint in that instance. Let's roll through a couple more of the locale stories while we got a couple of minutes left in this weekend. Treehouse Expedition, ribbon cutting ceremony, May 27th at Arbor Park in the city of Val. City of Corona, do you have what it takes? They want to know. City Council meeting canceled for San Jacinto this week, so you're going to have to wait till next month to yell at the City Council down there. There it is at Martin Luther King High. Riverside increases security after on-campus skirmish. You know, why don't we put some sane policies back in our schools? Why aren't the Riverside cops and Larry G and all them guys down there saying, hey, this is what you need to do. Quit building 12-foot high fences and razor wire and locking up our kids for 7 hours a day. That obviously ain't working. Making them stupid, plus they're even unsafe. Adults walk out on there anyway. Biden officials hid heart risk from COVID-19 vaccines from the public, Senate report says. Operation 74 clean sweep, Menifee, Hemet, San Jacinto cops sweeped out the criminals down there in the 74 corridor between Lake Elsinore and Paris. Hoosier 100 coming up, school closed because of all this crap going on. Now there's a simply badass rat rod. 2 engines in one deal. That's a toss-up between the one we did earlier with the 10.5 chassis and the big diesel motor to the little pickup with 2 motors, 37 Dodge Gasser. What a deal. Again, there's a friendly with the officer down there in Temecula with his new friend. There you go. Nearly 3 dozen were arrested during a law enforcement sweep down Highway 74. We need more crackdowns like this. There's the theft lady in Harupa. And I got to find this. The hooker home in Menifee. There it is. Latest arrestee. Apparently, this young lady was advertising prostitution services from her residence in the city of Menifee. They didn't take too kindly of that. As you see, she got a free trip to the Gray Bar Motel. Not in our city. You know, we need to get to a point, we need to have cat houses like they do in most of Nevada, except for Vegas and Reno. You know, regulate it, put it in areas where it's going to be away from kids, you know, an industrial area or whatever. And let people do what they're going to do. I don't want to see hookers walking up and down the street or, you know, on Marketplace, you know, come over to my neighborhood and people are going to do that. So let's put the policy in place where that can take place. If two people want to make a deal, as Trump may say, what harm is that to you? The harm is when we got streetwalkers walking in the middle of the street, or this kind of stuff getting in, or cop resources going to this. It's like, how much cop resources we got to our schools? Hardly. I mean, I'm getting old. Hardly. I bet you they spent $3.22 on cop services when I was going to school at the school district. Vaya caramba. That'll do it for this week. We usually say this time. Mandatory, you're back here in 71 hours live. For the best stars in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy, have a good weekend.
Got it. We'll see you Monday.
Bye now.